2.5-year-old food forest. And all these large pioneer trees that you can see were all propagated from seed. And this was a completely bare hillside just a few years ago. So as I wander through these tree rows here, you'll be able to see in a very short amount of time, just by starting with some key hardy pioneers. So this is my all-time favorite, the Acacia fimbriata. So we actually have canopy already from seed. And today has been probably about 30 degrees. Just late winter here in the subtropics, and you can see all this beautiful shade that these trees are providing, and it's actually kept the soil nice and cool and moist. So in between these acacias we actually have various fruit trees, so these are acting as sun protection, frost protection, and just helping them give some shelter as well as feeding the soil. So at the start of the wet season, all of these acacias will be heavily pruned back to provide some much needed mulch and nutrients for the soil. And we're going to start transitioning this cow paddock, which is primarily a bacterial soil system, back into a fungal, more forest system. And that will be much easier for the various trees to be able to thrive. So here we've got some ice cream bean. This here is a young popcorn senna, and that's actually about to flower. And here we've got a hardy tipu tree, or pride of Bolivia, and that's just starting to yellow off now because we're going into the dry season, so that will lose its leaves and then be all lush and green with a growth spurt again at the start of the wet season. So as we wander through, you can see here as protection, so underneath here I've actually got a baby jackfruit. So I've actually cleared a space around the tree and used this as shelter from frost. And as we go into that dry season, now that we've got shade, I'll be able to actually remove all of this grass, chop it back and use it as mulch, and that will feed the plants. This is another fantastic pioneer species, just so hardy, loves this slightly acidic soil. This is Tephrosia vogeli, or Vogel's Tephrosia, and it's also apparently an insecticide as well as a nitrogen fixer and fantastic chop and drop. So this, the pigeon pea and the acacia here have been my key star performers, if you like, with trying to establish a forest. So here we are going under the canopy of the trees, quite amazing. And here's this beautiful pride of Bolivia stretching up. So you'll see too, as I take you through the food forest, it's a north-facing slope, so it gets all the beautiful winter sun. There's quite a bit of smoke in the air at the moment from winter burn-offs. So it gets beautiful winter sun. So it's actually a fair bit drier than our south-facing slope. And because it's quite rocky, quite harsh conditions, I started with a lot of hardy pioneer species. So this is Calliandra, for example, a beautiful, it's got a beautiful pink flower, nitrogen fixer. There's a mango in there being sheltered from the grass. We've got the Acacia fimbriata again. We've got loquat tree, which is beautiful. We've got the popcorn senna coming through there. And in here we've got a tulip wood, which is a hardy rainforest tree and yields a beautiful timber as well. Back to another Calliandra. Here we've got a fig. Doesn't have any leaves on it at the moment just because we're at the end of winter, but it's starting to shoot now. And if we come over here, we've got an olive as well. And I've dotted lots of mulberries as well because they're quite tough. So I've tried to start with things that will actually work. I have experimented with a couple of more sensitive things like custard apples and things like that, but I think we're coming into a dry season now, so because I don't have any irrigation, it's a bit of an experiment. I've propagated them from seed, so I'm not too fussed if they don't make it, but we'll just see what thrives in this area. This is a Brazilian cherry here, and this is the flower of the Caliandra. So that just gives you an idea of which species I've got dotted in amongst my pioneers and nitrogen fixers. And as I said, we'll just see what thrives. And once we work out what thrives, we can keep replicating that and repeating the patterns. So this here's a great comparison. This is looking next door at the neighbour's property. This is what this corner used to look like just over 2 years ago. And as we scroll across, you can see the difference. So there's so much shelter here. I can hear all the birds in amongst the trees. It's beautiful and cool in the alleyways, in the shade, and it is just so lush. All the bees and the butterflies are loving all of the flowers. And I just love seeing that comparison of what 2 years can do.